We have a quorum. Mallory, are we recording?
Yes, we're recording and live on YouTube.
Okay, thank you. Today is Tuesday, December 29th, 2020. The time is 3:02. I am opening this meeting, a special meeting of the Grand County Commission. We are being held through Zoom. You can join the meeting through Zoom or by dialing 669-900-6833. Meeting ID is 867-1625-2356. Press star 6 to unmute. Present are Mary McGann, Chair, Evan Clapper, Commissioner, Gabriel Wojtek, Commissioner, Greg Halliday, Commissioner, Jaylyn Hawks, Commissioner. Are there any other commissioners here that I don't see? For staff, we have Chris Baird, Mallory Nassau, Quinn Hall. Thank you. The first item of business is citizens to be heard. Are there any citizens to be heard? Do we have any commission member disclosures? Presentation of the 2020 Grand County Fraud Risk Assessment. Quinn Hall, Clerk Auditor.
So this is the fraud risk assessment for 2020. This is a product of the state of Utah. They want us to complete this every year annually. It should be done jointly, I guess, between some of the department heads and the internal audit committee. This year, I ran point on it. Next year, we should have the internal audit committee do it. After talking to the state, the internal audit committee really has the final say in this. But I did it this year. So if you want me to run down it real quick, we scored 362 out of 395 possible. Valerie or Chris, do you guys have that on your screen? You want to share it or not? I can just run through it. I don't have it on my laptop, which is what I'm on in the meeting. But real quickly, the state suggests for does the county have basic adequate separation of duties or mitigating controls as outlined? And I gave us 200 out of 200. And I have a kind of an issue with the way the state requires us to score this. They require either a 200 or a 0. And I think we're well above 0, but I think we are not at 200. So if I had to adjust this or offer any sort of nuance to it, I would rate us at about 175. I think we've done a good job. We've got most of the mitigating factors or controls in place, but we're not perfect. We need better fuel card oversight and a few more like digital signature access is kind of in the works. We need an accounts receivable module set up, and a lot of these are being addressed in the budget for next year. And so I scored us at 200 on this because I thought 200 was more appropriate than 0 is what it boils down to. A few of the other small deficiencies that we have, we need to update our procurement policy, which Mallory's working on right now. We need a written cash receipting and deposits policy, which we don't have a written one for our office, and that needs to be written down and adhered to a little bit better. While we have a system in progress or in process that we use, we don't really have a written program that we follow. Some of the other questions have to do with a licensed or certified expert as part of our management team. And we have experts, but I don't know we really have any that are certified. So I kind of give us a middle score on that one. Do any members of the management team have at least a bachelor's degree in accounting? I gave us 10 out of 10. Cassie Marion, our payroll coordinator, although technically not a member of a formally recognized management team, does have a master's degree in accounting. So I counted that. Have Have all governing body members completed entity-specific online training within 4 years of appointment election date? I gave a 17 out of 20. This could be tracked a little bit better. And for next year, for the internal audit committee, when they do this, I've worked with Renee a little bit, and Renee has gathered together a bunch of the paperwork that kind of goes with this and the tracking, and she's put it all into one file. So this should be a lot easier to complete next year, and the component parts of it should be easier to access, and Renee has all those. A lot of them have to do with our paperwork and the way that we track different policies and trainings and whatnot, and like what are some of the other questions here? At any rate, some of the other stuff that we track, Renee has all that tracked, conflict of interest statements and all that. So those are all in place. We have those, and Renee has them all lumped together in one folder now. Then our last item is, regardless of license or formal education, does at least one member of the management team receive at least 40 hours of formal training related to accounting, budgeting, or other financial areas each year? And I gave us a 0 on this because we haven't done this at all this year. COVID obviously has thrown a wrench into a lot of plans. We did have some money budgeted this year for Cassell specific, our accounting software, Cassell specific training, and that never did happen because of COVID. We have addressed both 2 separate types of training in next year's budget. So our score should come up next year. As it stands now, we're good, but we're not great. That's essentially all of it. I would take any questions if anyone has any.
Any questions?
Yeah, just a comment and a question. This is Jaylyn.
Hi, Jaylyn.
Hey, good morning. Good afternoon. So I just want to congratulate staff on this. I know there was a flurry of activity when the state auditor first came out with this system. And, you know, staff put together the documents, the resolutions, and all kinds of stuff that we needed in order to improve our score. We've done much better, and I think that deserves some credit, a lot of credit to the staff. Then my question, Quinn, is, it sounds like you have given us the scores. Can you describe the process from here on out? That goes back to the state auditor. Do they adjust it as they see fit, or is that our final score?
I haven't gotten any real direction on that. I have spoken with the Office of the State Auditor. They want this uploaded. Eventually, there will be a question in our external audit that amounts to, did you complete this? That's what the external auditors are going to ask us. And it really is, according to the Office of the State Auditor, a yes or no question. Yes, we completed it. As far as, I'd like to see the internal audit committee next year kind of monkey with this a little bit and adjust the scores a little bit better and see if they can come up with a score with maybe a higher resolution than what I've done. Again, I scored us. I hate that the first question is either 200 or 0 points. I think
That seems ridiculous.
a huge range. And there are certain areas where we could improve, where we have space to improve, and where we've budgeted money to improve next year. So I can't see us getting a much better score next year, but I would like to see it a little bit more, like I say, a little bit more resolution on the scoring.
Thank you.
But yeah, as far as I know, it's a yes or no question from the external auditors. Did you do this or did you not do it? And yes, we did it.
Okay.
Mary, you're muted.
We'll have to make sure we have on the agenda that we start looking at how to do that so that we're not caught off guard towards the end of the year. So thank you. Any other questions? Okay, we are moving to agenda night item B, approving independent contractor agreement with Red Hill Strategic Incorporated and appointing the Grand County Legislative Committee. Chris Baird.
So as you recall, we budgeted for next year for legislative consulting. And so this is the agreement that Christina and I came up with. And I think that Red Hill is okay with it also. And then secondly, there's also the appointment of the committee to work with Red Hill. And that's listed out in your packet as well. and answer any questions if you have them.
Any questions?
Yeah, Chris, there was one thing in there about it may be renewed 5 times or up to 5 years. Is that just before it goes out to bid again, or is there a reason why we couldn't continue to use them after 5 years?
5 years, I think, is the standard renewal term. So we went with that. It's kind of poor practice to auto renew for longer than that. But we just went with the standard best practice on the auto renew, or not auto renew, but with the renewal option. Sorry, it's not auto renew. We have to
But-
opt to renew, but we have the option without going out to bid. And there might actually be some statute that limits the duration of renewal clauses. I'm not sure, but that's just kind of standard practice.
Great, as long as we're not blocking the option to do something with them in the future.
No, I don't think so.
Right.
We would just have to probably, it depends on what our purchasing policy is in 5 years, but if our purchasing policy would require going out to bid for the amount of the contract, then we would have to, do the request for qualifications again.
Mary, I would like to make a motion if no one has more questions.
Thank you, Jaylyn.
I move to approve the independent contractor agreement with Red Hill Strategic Incorporated and appoint the following Grand County Legislative Committee: Chris Baird, Mary McGann, Gabriel Wojtek, Kevin Walker, Christina Sloan.
Thank you,
Second,
Jaylyn.
Mary.
Seconded by Greg Halliday. Any further questions? Let's call for a vote. All in favor, say aye. Raise your hand if you're
Aye.
anyone opposed. Passes unanimously. We are now on agenda item. It's always nice moving around in your computers, getting things up. Soliciting public comment on the possible adopting a proposed resolution to renew the designation of Grand County's enterprise zone area. Chris Baird and Elaine Geisler.
So enterprise zones are sort of like a geographic overlay. And if we get this approved, then businesses within Grand County who are eligible for this program could receive tax credits if they ensure job creation. This particular economic development tool is kind of targeted for economic diversification. And so some of the more common rural businesses like retail and construction are not eligible. And so it's really kind of targeting diversification, which is, what we need anyway. And so we did find out kind of late in the game here that if we don't do this by the end of the year, that our enterprise zones will no longer be valid after the end of next year. And so I think that it's a useful tool in our economic diversification toolbox. And so I think it's important that we renew it. It's a fairly simple thing to do. There's an application, we have to pass a resolution. I just took the same enterprise zone boundaries that we've had for, probably 10 or 15 years and just use that over again. So it's the same enterprise zone as we've had in the past. I do believe that the statute relating to this has recently been amended, and some of the tax credits are not as substantial as they used to be, but still worth pursuing if you're an eligible business. Another thing to point out is that, our policy on public hearings is to wait to vote until the next meeting. However, in this case, we can't do that because the deadline to get this approved is December 31. And so in the agenda summary, I did two motions. One is a motion to suspend the rules and to vote on this this afternoon. And the second motion is the motion to adopt the resolution renewing the enterprise zone.
Thank you, Chris. Questions?
Mary, I can make a motion here.
Thank you very much, Greg.
Yeah, I move to suspend policy in order to take action on this public hearing.
Motion by Greg Halliday.
Hey, Mary, we need to have the public hearing first.
Oh, I'm sorry. We did. I agree. I will open this portion of the meeting to the public hearing to hear information on the enterprise zone. Do I have anybody that has any input?
Okay, now we're good.
Now we're good. Okay, Greg, do you want to make your motion again?
Yeah, I move to suspend policy in order to take action on this public hearing.
Motion by Greg Halliday. Seconded by Gabriel Wojtek. Discussion. Seeing none,
I think it's great.
I'm excited. Oh, you're in a car. I call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Passes. So now we will move to the agenda item.
I can make another motion if you'd like.
Yes, please.
I move to adopt the proposed resolution to renew the designation of Grand County's enterprise zone area.
Motion by Greg Halliday. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Gabriel Wojtek. Discussion? Okay, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
You're opposed? Or no, you're just slow. You're okay. You did mean aye, didn't you? Evan? Might be froze.
Yes. Yes. Aye. Support.
Okay, no, anyone in, so it passes unanimously. We are at the end of the agenda. So if I do not have anyone opposed to, I will adjourn this special meeting. Is there anyone that wishes to continue? Okay, bye. This will be your last meeting, Jaylen, as a commissioner. I'm going to miss you very, very much. Thank you.
Thank you. I will miss working with this group. You guys have the dream team next year, so.
And I'm going to, and Greg, I'm going to miss you a lot too. You have been so helpful with moving the meeting along, with quickly making motions, and your willingness to participate and be on to different meetings. So you're going to be missed. Jaylen's going to be missed.